With prices creeping up, more Americans are turning to dollar stores. And that's serious. I mean, that is what people are doing because it has gotten really ridiculous. The food prices in stores, gas prices are going up. It's like everywhere you turn, something is getting more expensive. Housing, the cost of living, apartments, rents, all of it's connected. It's crazy. So this is by Abha Hatare out of the Washington Post. And so Kyle Dishman can't afford to shop at a local grocery store anymore. Instead, he goes to the Dollar General. And, we have Dollar General, we have Dollar Tree, there's a 99-cent store, and then there's some offshoot 99 cents, 98 cents, 99, 99 plus, stores. And people are actually shopping. Sometimes you can get groceries like eggs, produce, things like that, you might can get a lot more cheaper than if you go to the regular Ralph's, Food for Less. I mean, it helps people's dollars stretch a longer way. And, even if there's risk involved, because a lot of times when you go to those Dollar Tree, Dollar General, you'll see a lot of stuff that's like really cheaply made. And you try to find things that are of best quality. It's cheap, but it's best that you can get. But you have to read the labels because a lot of times the things will come from China. It'll say made in China, and a lot of the material sometimes will have like a warning on it label telling you that it may have chemicals and things like that, because a lot of the work that factory jobs had moved to those countries. And so that's another reason why it contributes to some of the pollution that we see going on, because it's not only the cars that are on the freeways, but also the factories. If you go, I've had friends that have visited China. There's a lot of smoke and a lot of pollution because the people are working long hours in these factories and they're making these products which get shipped back here. And so these stores, though, however, are really convenient. They help people, especially with a low income or low to medium income, to try to stretch their food dollar, maybe products that they need, tissue, things like that. And, Costco, is a great store, but it can get pricey. Food for Less, Ralph's, Vons, Stater Brothers, wherever you live, all the stores, sometimes things can get a little crazy. People have lost jobs. Here in California, I believe they're going to stop unemployment of $300. They had a boost to it. That's supposed to end. So these stores, people rely on it. So in this article, it's saying Kyle Dishman can't afford to shop at a local grocery store anymore. And so he relies on this. So instead, he goes to the Dollar General where he can make $40 stretch into weeks worth of groceries, and occasional can a can of motor oil for his Chrysler 300. And so it gets into how people are having to live because of what's going on. So he sticks with pasta, frozen pizza, and canned vegetables, fully aware that any food you can buy for only $1 is not the greatest for you. Of course, just like what I was explaining, but Dishman says that the prices have gone up so much that he has started rationing his food, and I'm sure a lot of people have had to do that. That's why they was supposed to increase the SNAP program was supposed to increase the benefits for people, which may be helpful in one sense, but I have to be honest and warn you that a lot of times what has happened here in California, I don't know if it's happening to you and where you live in your state, but you'll get them that program and it seems good for the meantime. Then they start reducing your payments of food, what they put on the card. And then there's some kind of computer error that'll happen. And instead of them trying to fix the problem and holding themselves accountable to say, oh, we made an error, we overpaid you or underpaid you. No, if they overpay you, what happens is they send you a note or they start reducing what you get, and then they make you pay back what they overpaid you. So I don't know if you've heard of that. The news hasn't said that. They're so quick to boast about these boost of SNAP benefits, but what about why people won't sign up for it? Because they might have been treated that way. And sometimes when you sign up for those programs, it seems good in the beginning, but then they start reducing what you get, and then they'll make a mistake and say, oh, we overpaid you, and then instead of them looking at the error and saying it's their issue on their end, they want you to pay back what they overpaid you. And these are people that are struggling, that need food, and they see that food card and that money on it, they're going to go and buy all the food they can buy because they don't have anything else. But then you want to turn around and ask them to pay you back after you gave it to them and it was your era. They don't even know. And so that's what happened. So I'm just telling you that was something I added in there. But it says when you only have a certain amount to spend, it's like, why not just go to the dollar store, he said. And that's why you'll see we have Dollar General, Dollar Tree. I could see like 99 cents. Like every block, you're going to run into some store like that. And a lot of those stores are in the poorer communities because they know they do well because they can make a lot more profit. I feel that's what happens, just like there's liquor stores on every corner, that hasn't stopped. So which is sad. So a growing number of Americans are relying on dollar store and everyday needs, especially groceries, as the coronavirus pandemic drags into the 18th month. So chains such as Dollar General, Dollar Tree reporting blockbuster sales. Of course, I'm not surprised. And profits. They're doing very well, proliferating so quickly that some U.S. cities want to limit their growth. So they don't want to have the competition of the dollar stores. They're like, they have everything. There's some people that get heavily addicted to those dollar stores. They say, oh, let me go to this one because this one has this type of stuff in it. Let me go to this one. It has more produce and more food items in it. Let me go to this one. It has more other things, products inside. So sometimes you can find yourself getting addicted to those dollar stores. It happens. It's happened to me. So the foot traffic at the largest such chain, Dollar General, is up to about 32%. So let me get into it. I skipped something. So it says about 1,650 dollar stores expected to open this year represent nearly half of all the new national retail openings, according to the Core Site research. And so that's how successful they're getting. So with all the foot traffic and such change at the dollar stores, Dollar General, it's up 32% from the pre-pandemic levels. That's how good they're doing. But that's good for them. But what does it say about the economy and what Americans are going through and people in general? That's not good. So it's saying that it's far outpacing 3% increase of Walmart. So it's even starting to get being a competition for Walmart as well. So one of the few retail winners of last year, according to the Placer AI, I believe, which analyzes shopping patterns using the location data from 30 million devices. And so an analyst say that the explosive rise of dollar stores is yet another example of how the pandemic has reshaped the economy and widened the gulf between the wealthiest and the poorest Americans. Rising grocery prices, the inflation is up about 5.4% from last year, coupled with disproportionately high job losses among low-income workers, have left many of the most vulnerable Americans even in worse shape. So it's a striking disparity. So in this country, there is now a dollar store land and there are Whole Food lands as well. So you see the stark difference. And so Stacy Mitchell co-director of the Institute for Local Self-Reliance, a nonprofit advocacy group. And if you live in Whole Foods land, it's very hard for people to understand just how desperate circumstances are for the rest of the country. And we know Whole Foods is usually coined here. I don't know if you've heard it. Somebody that one of my college professors was saying Whole Foods is like whole paycheck because it's a lot expensive. So Whole Foods is owned by Amazon, believe it or not, whose founder, Jeff Bezos, owns the Washington Post. And so dollar stores, which sell any number of name brand items, including snacks, toys, holiday decor, and been proliferating for years, particularly in impoverished and rural areas, exactly what I said, where they are often an only major retailer. The pandemic, though, ushered in an influx of new shoppers, including many who have previously been able to buy in larger or more cost-efficient quantities at big box chains. But with smaller paychecks, rising prices, they say it's no longer feasible to stock up elsewhere. And so executives of Dollar General say they began seeing a rise in the new customers last March, just as much as the country began shutting down because of the pandemic. Its newest shoppers tend to be younger, have higher incomes, and be more ethnically diverse, according to the spokeswoman, Crystal Luce. And so Dishman, who's 29 years of age, who works at a Vans outlet store in West Carrollton, Ohio, said that his hours were nearly half during the pandemic. So his hours were cut. Some people didn't lose their jobs. Their jobs might have been shut down for temporary, which means now you're losing some money, or you had shortened hours, such as this guy Dishman, who's 29. He works at Vans Outlet, and so it says his hours were cut nearly half during the pandemic, from about 35 hours to 20 hours a week. And so that's a hit on his paycheck. So he's been picking up food delivery gigs, Grubhub, but he has had to do away with the trips to Kroger grocery stores, where he used to spend about $150 every 2 weeks for his two members of his household. So prices have gone up sky high. My income is going into the opposite direction, he said. So that makes buying food even at the dollar store kind of rough for him. So there are more than 34,000 Dollar General stores in the U.S., more than all of Walmart, Starbucks, and McDonald's business combined. And so the two largest chains, Dollar General and Dollar Tree, which owns Family Dollar as well, make up the vast majority of them. And with more than 32,000 locations that they have, many are concentrated in the lower income areas. And an analysis say that it's increasingly common to see 3, 4, or even $5 stores within a few blocks. So what did I just tell you? It said it before I even read it. Like if I go around the corner here in South LA, I could probably run into, I say, about maybe $5 or $6 dollar store, 99-cent, or Dollar General. And then if I go on another block, the same thing, and it's in the area, it's like that's the store to go to. And then when the holidays come, that's where you get your holiday decorations, because it's a lot cheaper, because you can change up, and those things only cost what, $1, maybe less. So you will see all these stores, and it makes it difficult for smaller chains and grocery stores, which have thinner margins, to compete with them. And so these are now becoming competition stores. So, and despite their names, many dollar chains, including Family Dollar and Dollar General, sell items that sometimes they'll cost more than $1. So notice that some of these dollar stores, you see, it's a mental thing. You go in, it says Dollar General, Dollar Tree, you go in there and you see things, and then you wind up buying $100 worth of items. Because in your mind, you're thinking, I'm getting stuff for $1, but you come out with a lot more than what you anticipated. The other thing is you'll find things in there that are priced more than $1. So it's a mental thing as well. So everybody's trying to cut corners and they're trying to save a buck. So Dollar Tree remains the only major retailer that continues to price its entire inventory for $1. And so it's one thing to have a dollar store or a couple of dollar stores in a neighborhood, but when you've got them at the density level we're seeing, it's really difficult for grocery stores to open and succeed. And this is said by a Mitchell of ILSR. Dollar stores are the number one driver of food deserts as well at this point. So also when you go into those dollar stores, there's high sugar content, high fat content, and then there's a lot of processed foods, a lot of stuff that's quick fix type stuff, microwave, throw it in the microwave, and who's got time to cook? Okay, I'm guilty of that. So food deserts, generally defined as urban areas in which the closest grocery store is more than a mile away, tends to be concentrated in low income areas. The store is more than a mile away. So it's in low income neighborhoods. Several cities, including Tulsa, New Orleans, Mesquite, Texas, Birmingham, Alabama, have passed legislations restricting the dollar stores from opening within 1 to 2 miles of existing locations. So the Dollar Tree, the Dollar General, the 99 cents are starting to be like, just like how in South LA there's liquor stores on every corner, which that hasn't changed either. Like if you go to one block, there's a liquor store. You go on the next corner, there's another liquor store. You go down less than a half a mile, there's another liquor store. And so I kind of feel like those liquor stores, there was a time they wanted to get rid of those because they signified, death in a bottle. People, they're down on their luck, hard times. What do? They smoke and drink more. It promotes alcoholism, or it's the catalyst. And what's going on right now? I think people are doing, if they have those issues, they might be doing a lot more smoking and drinking. So I'm just saying, let's get real here. And they're going to the Dollar General because they don't have a lot of money, and then the little money they do have left over, they're going there to buy food, because they lost money during the pandemic or whatever, and they're trying to make their dollar stretch. So this is what happens. We also have the Vita, which is a dialysis center, and I'm seeing a lot of those popping up, and they put those in the black and Hispanic neighborhoods, because they know what comes next. All that drinking, all the drugs, whatever you're doing, they know you're going to have kidney problems, you're going to have liver problems or whatever, and you now need dialysis for your kidney problems or whatever. And so it's almost like it's set up this way. And so this is why those places that they name are like southern places. I saw that when I was in South Carolina, and there were a lot of Dollar General and dollar stores out there, and you could just go down the block and around the corner, and there it was. And it was in the black side of South Carolina that there was a Dollar General, and we would go stop over there, and they had the clothes, they had the food, they had everything in there. And so they said Tulsa, New Orleans, Mesquite, Texas, Birmingham, Alabama, they passed legislations restricting those stores. And I guess because it's a lot of competition and they create the food deserts, like they say. And so it says that other areas like Oklahoma City, Ward 7, require that the new discount stores either have a pharmacy or dedicate at least 500 square feet to fresh vegetables and fruit and meat. And so we do have a 99-cent store that I've seen that they have fruits, they have meats, they have vegetables, or I see fruits and vegetables. That's what I've seen. Bananas, and you can get apples, you can get like grapes, different produce for a lot more cheaper than you would like if you go into like Ralph's or Food for Less. And so it can help you eat more healthier stuff on a budget. And so we need more than just processed foods in our community, said Nikki Nice. Nikki Nice, I said Nice. She's from Oklahoma City Council member, so her name is Nikki Nice, which is It's an interesting name. So the life expectancy for a particular zip code of the northeast of Oklahoma City without fresh groceries is about 18 years lower than other parts of the city. So she added this as $3 stores in the area sell packaged foods such as bread, milk, cheese, but no fresh produce. So Dollar General, for example, they sell fresh groceries in about 7% of its stores. So we need better options, particularly in Black communities and other intentionally ignored neighborhoods where we have a tremendously impacted by the lack of fresh groceries. So this was said by Nice said this. So the pandemic has accelerated the dominance of the country's largest retailers, including Walmart, Amazon, Kroger, and Target, to uh, the deterrent. The detriment of small and regional operations. So that dynamic analysts say has pronounced in small towns across the country. And so they see that these stores have done relatively well during the pandemic. Because what do people do? They order online because they want to stay safe. They don't want to go out and do as much in-person shopping than Walmart. You can also go online for Walmart stuff and order stuff and just go and pick it up, really quick. Kroger, Target, I see a lot of people going in Target like crazy. Like right now, people are at Target. So they, for some reason, I feel like people just wanted to get out and go to Target. And so these are major chains that have better positioned to handle supply chain disruptions, rising costs, and labor shortages. So growing income inequality, economists say, has also led to the rising polarization among retailers. And so discount chains and high-end retailers have in many cases fared much better than the mid-range counterparts. And so chains such as the Whole Foods Market, which is known for higher priced organic specialty foods, have benefited from rising home prices and a rallying stock market that have boosted the fortunes of the wealthiest Americans. The Austin-based grocer is adding 43 stores to its roster of 500 this year, many of them in high-income urban areas, including 11 in California, 5 in New York, and 4 in Florida. And so at the other end, Dollar General, which carries national brands such as Clorox, Coca-Cola, Hanes, Nestle, keeps costs low by renting in inexpensive parts of town and keeping stores thinly staffed. And so they won't have as much staff. They'll have like 3 or 4 checkout stands, but they'll have only 2 checkout stands and 2 checkers working. I've noticed that. And so that's how they keep their costs down, by not having as many employees to have to pay. And so people don't normally think about that, but that's the reason why even though they have a hiring sign, they just try people out to see how long they can handle the pressure of working there, and it's understaffed. That's what's going on with some of these places. So inexpensive parts of town and keeping stores thinly staffed. This is what the analysts have said. So the chains, which last year posted $33.7 billion in sales, also has tremendous buying power, allowing it to keep prices within a few percentage points of Walmart's. The world's largest retailer, according to Anthony Chukwumba, an analyst at Loop Capital Markets. And so the formula for Dollar General is small, conveniently located stores with a lot of name brand items, very sharp pricing, he said. So in tough economic times, we see folks trade down from grocery stores and convenience stores to dollar stores. With inflation pushing prices higher, we're starting to see that phenomenon again. So Dollar General's profits 4% to $678 million in the most recent quarter, prompting it to increase its outlook for the rest of the year. So the chain, which is targeting younger, trendier shoppers with a new concept called Pop Shelf, is opening 1,050 stores this year and remodeling 1,750 other stores. So American households on average spent $4,643 on groceries. And so in 2019, more than they did on rent or education as well. So that's what took a hit. You know, a lot of people that weren't paying their rent, or they couldn't afford to pay all of everything, or they stopped going to these high expensive schools. Some of that was because the learning ended up being online, and so some people are not online type of students. It helped some people, and in others it didn't help. It made matters worse, and then they felt like, why should we pay for all these other things with school? You know, you pay for your parking, you pay your fees for the school and everything, but you're not utilizing the school facility. So, you know, some people just said forget it, you know, and then now they're opening up universities again. You're having to go with you know, something proving that you have vaccination. A lot of the universities won't let you on the campus in close quarters doing in-person learning unless you've been vaccinated. You have to show proof of that with a card. And so those are some things that have changed. A lot of things have changed. This right here is showing change, how people have to eat and live, according to the most recent data available by Bureau of Labor Statistics. So that figure, economists say, is likely to have risen considerably during the pandemic as consumers cut back on dining out. You won't see a lot of people doing a lot of that because of the fear of the Delta virus, and then also they're having to dine outside. Now there's mask mandates. I know that's here in California. Certain places, the only time you can actively take off your mask if you're eating, and doing the action of eating. But you know, with that comes the risk of you don't know who you're sitting next to. So that's a whole nother ball game. So aside from a recent trip to Walmart, Nancy Norton has shopped exclusively at Dollar General since the corona pandemic took hold early last year. I don't blame her. She usually stops in 9 p.m. but says that she still has to wait 20 minutes in line because there are so many shoppers, not checkers, remember that. So Norton is a retired teacher's aide who lives on about $1,100 a month, says that she began cutting back from 2 trips a week to 1 trip. Prices are rising, she says, and the quantities are shrinking, which means she's having to stretch food. She like food that she does buy is milk, eggs, bread, cheese, frozen dinners, and ketchup. And so I've tried to slow down a little bit and do without until I can afford to go again. So this is said by Norton, who's 67, who lives in Panama City, Florida, with her 98-year-old mother. So she said that her shopping options have been limited since Hurricane Michael destroyed a number of businesses in the late 2018. So we buy everything we need from Dollar General. That's how serious it is. People heavily rely on these dollar stores. So the things that they don't have, we do without. So shoppers streamed into Dollar General in Mount Rainier. And so this is on a recent weekday afternoon, picking up cases of paper towels, boxes of frozen pizzas, rolls, and cans of sparkling water. So one shopper, Deborah, said that she's taken 2 buses in search of affordable household staples. So she brought batteries, a serving bowl, a cupcake, and a cupcake at Dollar Tree before picking up cleaning spray at a nearby Dollar General. So the prices at the local Giant, Safeway, and Harris Teeter grocery stores have been creeping up. So she said making everyday items like paper towels, plastic wrap more and more expensive. So I was going to get batteries at Harris Teeter, but they're so expensive, $7 for 4 batteries. And that, I said, let me just go to the dollar store, said Deborah, who did not want to be identified by her real name. So at Dollar Tree, she picked up 5 batteries for only what? Boom, $1. And so they used to be even cheaper than that, she said, but they used to come 6 in a pack. So in Roselle Park, New Jersey, I believe that is, Alon Gatto has begun stopping by the local dollar store almost every day now that prices are ticking up elsewhere. And though package sizes are shrinking, paper towels, for example, have gone from 140 sheets per pack to 100. So people are looking at how many paper towels are we getting, how many tissue rolls, and how far is it gonna go. How long can I go without having to go back and buy more. So he says prices for most everyday goods such as cat litter, milk, and are still more reasonable than at the nearby supermarket. So you can get even your pet foods a lot cheaper at the Dollar General. Believe it or not, 99-cent store, Dollar General, they sell pet food that you can find in the grocery store, but it's a whole heck of a lot cheaper when you go to the Dollar General. So it looks like inflation is coming back again. So I worry about prices going up, the 75-year-old said. But the Dollar General, the dollar store, is a dollar, and that's basically what they go for to make their dollar last as long as they can.